Hey guys, and welcome to today's video tutorial. My name is Sonja Chandler, and I have a business located in Nashville, Tennessee called Socks On A Rooster Furniture and Refinishing. We carry a great selection of Amy Howard refinishing products, so if you are in that area or can get by there, you will find those at Gaslamp 2 Antique Mall. So today's video is going to be over something I'm extremely excited about, and that is the new Miracle Paint, enamel-based paint in the line. It's a little bit different than our chalk-based paint, if you're familiar with that. But what's so exciting about this is that, as we know, paint is truly miraculous anyway because of what it can do, and it covers a multitude of problems and issues. But when you have an enamel-based paint, this can be used on floors, metal, outdoor items, things that you normally would not use a mineral-based paint on, or chalk paint. And so today I'm going to be doing a floor cloth, a vinyl floor cloth. These actually used to be very vintage and antique. You would find floor cloths like this in old homes, but this one already has a wood pattern print on them, and I'm just going to checkerboard this in a beautiful color called Ambala blue. It's one of my favorite colors in the Amy Howard line. So this blue paired with this light gray wood grain is going to be very beautiful. So let me get started here and I'll show you how.
Okay guys, I am just going to show you my way of doing this floor cloth pattern. Now you can choose any pattern that you'd like. You do not have to do a checkerboard floor, but if you do, I do mine by way of making a template. And I'm just making a square here, and I have drawn it out and masked it off, and then I'm mixing my paint. This enamel paint is a different formula than the one-step paint, so you really need to mix it up good. And because I'm working on my floor cloth here, I'm just going to put a piece of paper under it. But I'm just taping off my section of my template, and then I'm painting it on. Now, I do an entire section here of checks, and when you're doing this on these floor cloths, there is a bit of a pattern. There's a grain to them, and they can tend to allow that paint to run underneath your masking tape there. So what you want to do is you want to paint in to the square. As you can see, I'm painting, my brush is going from the outside of the tape in, and that will help eliminate some of that bleeding. But if you have a little bit of that bleeding where it runs under the grain, do not worry about it with a floor cloth, because it is almost undetectable to the eye when it is that far down on the ground. So you're not going to see that. You're only going to see the entire floor cloth as it is. So up close to the eye when it's up on the table, you might see a little bit of bleeding, but you will not see it on the floor. But to eliminate that, paint inward, going into your square rather than having your brush go outward onto the tape, because that will push that paint underneath that grain. Now here I'm just speeding up the process with with a heat gun, because ultimately you will need 2 coats. I just did 2 coats of the Miracle Paint. And then I take off my masking tape in between each row of checks that I do. And I just it gives me a chance to assess how it turned out, where my checks are. Now, there are people that map out their entire floor cloth and do it that way. But for me, I do it bit by bit. Now, do you see my blue border here? There's an option here. I can pull that off and leave my squares free floating, or I can put the tape back on there and paint a border around there. I opted to leave mine free floating, and if I wanted to add a border layer, I could go back in. But one thing I did do here is I added a detail to my squares with a paint pen. It's an acrylic paint pen, it's permanent. And I'm just adding a dot and line detail to my blue. And you can see it there on the floor. You'll see it up close here as well in the picture. And then you have a really very, unique floor cloth runner. You can see the detail there. I also did this in a big format with a different color. I did it with Bauhaus Buff. And I did stencils in the white squares, as you can see here, with gold paint. And I also did the dot and line border there, as you can see. So there are many options, and with this miracle paint being able to be used on the floor, you're gonna have a floor cloth that lasts you for a long time to come. Thanks for watching today, guys.